Today we are going to be looking at the IELTS Writing Task 2. IELTS Writing Task 2. The last time we looked at IELTS Writing Task 1. We are not going to dwell so much on that. Try to watch the previous video on that if you were not in class. All right, so the IELTS Writing Task 2 is for 40 minutes and you'll be expected to, actually I like using the word type because it's computer delivered. You'll be typing. Well, you'll be expected to write not less than 250 words within these 40 minutes. This 40 minutes covers the time for you to read the question, understand the question, plan your writing, do your writing, proofread your writing, and submit. So everything is inside the 40 minutes. So technically, that means if you want to do very well, you may be planning to actually write in 30 minutes, to write in 250 words in 30 minutes. You know, this is a personal decision now, all right? So that you can use the remaining 10 minutes for the reading, the proofreading, the structuring, and everything. And so when you are practicing your typing, this is our recommendation. When you are practicing, trying to attempt two tasks, try to place yourself under 30 minutes to actually come up with something beautiful and see what you can do. It will be scored 70 marks. So your writing task 2 is 70 marks. You should do it. So yeah, I said it's 70 marks. Now the next thing is what David just talked about. For the task 2, the task is the same and it is essay writing, right? So you have to write an essay. It is the same for general and academic. The only one that is different, I already explained it to you, is the task 1. In task 1, the academic will be doing interpretation of diagram and then the general will be doing letter writing. But in task 2, both academic and general, they are doing the same thing, which is essay writing, all right? And I said it is over 70 mark. Task 1, like we saw the other day, is actually over 30 marks. So 30 plus 70 will give you the 100 mark. Now, another thing I like to mention to you here, remember that task 1 is 20 minutes. That's task 1, 20 minutes. And task 2 is 40 minutes. So put the two together, that's 60 minutes. So the task 1 and 2, they are actually timed together. They are timed together, all right? So that means in your writing task, you have 60 minutes. The importance of this information is that when you finish, you may be able to finish your task 1 in 70 minutes. Don't wait for it to become 20 minutes before you start task 2. You can actually add the 3 minutes to, to your task 2 because they actually time it together. So once you finish your task 1, go into your task 2. Yeah. Now, the next thing rather, you need to understand is the type of essay. Well, the essay can be grouped categorically into three types. Now, you need to understand it. The first one is the opinion essay. The first type of essay you can encounter, because it's one you are going to see at the end of the day, is the opinion essay. Of course, you can decode already that this is opinion based. They want to seek your opinion concerning an issue. And so a case will be presented and then your opinion will be sought after. So whatever you decide to write on here is not a problem, but there are some factors you consider. Now, the prompt. All right, now there are 2 ways you can identify that this is an opinion essay from the prompt. They will create a scenario, and they ask you, do you agree or disagree? Some people believe that there are nothing the younger generation can learn from the older one. Do you agree or disagree? So after, okay, let me just create, let's say this is a question. Some people believe that there is nothing the younger generation can learn from the older generation. All right. So this is a question. Then the prompt is something like this. They will now ask you, do you agree or disagree? So this is a prompt. Now, once you see a prompt like this, it means that that question is opinion question. That means it's opinion essay. That means this question now is opinion question. That means it's an opinion essay. So now what does this mean? Do you agree or disagree? This means you are to choose one side. Here, choose one side. That is, either you agree or you disagree. Do not write on both sides. Do not write on both sides. You know, do not write, sorry, spell on both sides. So do not write on both sides when you see this kind of prompt that says, do you agree or disagree? Now, what inform your decision to choose agree or to choose disagree? You look at the question and ask yourself, if I agree, will I be able to defend it? And then if I disagree, will I be able to defend it? Now, whichever one you think you'll be able to do, that's the side you take. Now, what do you mean by defend? You are going to write supporting point, at least 2. If you have grace to write up to 3, is fine. So when you look at the question and then the prompt is asking you, do you agree or disagree? Then ask yourself, can I give 2 supporting points if I agree? Or can I give at least 2 supporting points if I disagree? Supporting points is the reasoning. Supporting point is the reasoning for the decision you took. So in this case, if you agree, for example, so the next question is, why do you agree? So you are going to state at least 2 reasons why you agree. If you disagree, why do you disagree? You are going to state it. So all of this happen at the beginning of the essay before you start writing. Once you see the question, if you feel you want to agree, once you decide that you agree, the next thing is to write down the 2 supporting points. So the first kind of prompt that tell you that the question is opinion essay is when you see the prompt at the end, they will now ask you, do you agree or disagree? This is the prompt that tells you that, oh, it's opinion essay. Another way they ask you opinion, that you will see opinion prompt, is to what extent do you agree or maybe disagree? All right, so to what extent? Now, when you see a prompt like this, it is also opinion essay. So for opinion essay, there are 2 ways you can see the prompt. The first one I've shown you, do you agree or disagree? And then this is the second one, to what extent do you agree or disagree? Remember that it is one you will see, it's not like you see all of them. Now, if the prompt says to what extent do you agree, that means they are giving you, you have 3 variations here or 3 possible answers. You can agree entirely, you can completely disagree, and then you can agree to some extent or somewhat agree. Now, so these are 3 possible answer choices. So you can look at the question and say, oh, I agree entirely. If you agree entirely, that means you are going to focus on only agree. You will not talk about disagree. You can look at it and say, oh, I completely disagree. Like, I just disagree completely. There's no anything agreeing. So you are going to write on disagree. But now if you agree to some extent, this one means if you agree to some extent or you somewhat agree, it means that you will write on both agree and disagree. Okay, so in this third answer choice now, it simply means you are going to write on both agree and disagree. All right, so maybe there is a part of you that agree, you talk about it, there's another part that talk about disagree. That's when you take this option. But whichever one you take, the next major thing you do is to write out your supporting point. And I said that the supporting point should be between 1 to 2, and it is the reason for the decision you took. If you disagree, write out 2 points why you disagree. If you agree, write out 2 points why you agree. If you agree to some extent, 1 point will be on agree, the second point will be on disagree, because in this case you are going to write on both of them. The second type of essay is called discussion essay. Okay, it is a discussion essay. Now, why is this a discussion essay? In discussion essay, you will be given 2 points, 2 points, and required to write on them. So you see, this is a bit different from the discussion. Here, you'll be given 2 points, you'll be given two views, you will be given two opinions, and then your task will be to write on them. So here you are not thinking about developing supporting points. These are like supporting points they have given to you. Now, the prompt for discussion essay will be discuss both views and give your opinion. Now, because of this and give your opinion aspect of this prompt, some people usually mistake it for opinion. In the opinion essay, you will remember that the prompt does not even carry the word opinion. They only ask you, do you agree or disagree? Or to what extent do you agree or disagree? So it is in the discussion essay that you have this prompt. It says discuss both views and give your opinion. Now, if you want to modify, okay, we are going to analyze a sample question. So let me not go into that now. So because I'm still going to show you how to analyze a question before you start writing on it, all right? So this is how the prompt will be. You discover that in the question, they will give you two views. So your own is to write on them. Please, when you are the best way to write on these views, number one, first adopt the views. When somebody adopts a child, the person is not the biological mother, but he adopts the child, now sees the child as his child. So it's no more seeing the child as a stranger. You are not the one that wrote the views, but since you are asked to write on them, the first thing is you adopt it. You take the view as your own. You are not going to be disagreeing or agreeing with any of the view. They are not asking you to agree or disagree. They are asking you to discuss it. So the first thing is you adopt it. Adopt it means you now take it as your view. You take it as your point. You take it as if you are the one that wrote that point. And then you will talk about it or explain it. In the writing structure, we'll still understand how you write. So the first major thing that will help you is take each of the point as your point and then talk about it. Then number three, remember that you are asked to discuss, not to condemn or compare. So don't see yourself comparing the two views. They didn't ask you to compare. Say this is this, whereas this is this. They didn't ask you to compare, and they didn't ask you to say this view is bad. Why will you say this is bad or this view is good? They only ask you to discuss it. So just explain Explain, discuss means throw more light into that view. Tell me what the view mean. What's the view talking about? Explain it, discuss it. Do not compare it and do not condemn or approve anything. They didn't ask you that. You are asked to compare. And sorry, you are asked to discuss. All right. So this is the best way to handle the discussion essay. Now, the third one is irregular questions or irregular essays. This one does not follow a particular pattern like the opinion or essay. These are just direct questions. They ask you direct questions, and then you are just to go ahead and you know and write on them. Just ask you direct questions. You get it now. So for example, they can ask you, why do you think shopping malls are important in a community? So we are just going to talk about why you feel shopping mall is important. They can give you a question and ask you for the disadvantages. They can give you a question and ask you for the advantages. They can give you a question and ask you to talk about the benefits. They can create a problem. They call it problem solution essay. They can create a problem. There are two ways that these problem solutions come. They can create a problem and then give you suggest three solutions and ask you which of the solution do you think is best. Sorry, two solutions, and ask you which of them do you think is best. Or they can create a problem and ask you to think of a best solution for it. So these are essays that just come like that, and then you go ahead, understand the questions, and then answer the question. Now let's look at the structure of the essay. The structure was this. The structure of essay. Now, your essay writing has three structures. The first one is introduction, the second one is the body, and the third one is the conclusion. All right. So, and remember, I've talked to you about paragraphing before, so we'll apply the knowledge here. Now, let's look at introduction. What do we do in the introduction? Now, understand that the purpose of the introduction is just to convince the examiner that you understand the question. You are writing the introduction. Your overall purpose of the introduction is just to tell the examiner, hey, I understand what you have asked me to do. And it will be in one paragraph. Please don't forget all these simple instructions, because people fail the writing task not for too much big reasons, some of these small reasons. So the introduction is one paragraph. Do not write your introduction or put it into two paragraphs. It is one paragraph. All right. Now, what are the major elements that should be in the introduction? These are the sentences, these are the sentences that should make up, the sentences, introduction. Yeah, so these are the sentences that will make up your introduction. So let's say sentence one. So what is my first? Of course, this is your first sentence. This is the opening sentence in the paragraph, right? So the first thing you do is to state a general statement, the topic of the question. All right. So if you look at a question, you ask yourself, what is this question about? What is this question about? Now, once you identify the topic of that question, in your first sentence of the introduction, you will give a general statement. A general statement is just saying something randomly about that. Let me try to create a question. Some people believe that school is the best place for a child to learn how to be to learn how to okay for a child to develop positive characters, while others are of the opinion that parents have the sole responsibility of raising their children to be good citizens. Then they'll now ask you to discuss both opinion and like that. So now looking at this question, some people believe that school is the best place for a child to develop positive characters, while others are. This is not a standard IELTS question. I just came up with this, but it's usually something like this. During the analysis, I'm going to take a typical IELTS question, all right? So we'll analyze it. But this is just a feel of how it usually look. Some people believe that school is the best place for a child to develop positive characters, while others have the opinion that parents have the sole responsibility of raising their children. Summarily, if you look at this question now, you will see that this question is somehow talking about child's upbringing. It's talking about raising a child, you know, child upbringing. Now, there is no place in the question where they says this question is about child upbringing. This question is about raising a child. There's no way to be stated like that. But once you read the question, from the question, you now understand that, oh, this is what they are talking about. Oh, this thing is talking about child upbringing. So that is the topic of the question. So in your first sentence, you are going to write a general statement about the topic of the question. In this case, what is the topic of the question? Child upbringing. So my general statement may be, realistically, the job of raising a child to becoming a prominent personality in the future is the duty of everyone. So let's say like that. So this is an example of a general statement. This general statement now is specifically about the topic which I have seen. This topic is talking about raising child or child upbringing. So in my writing of the essay now, this is going to be my first sentence, you know. So this is going to be my first sentence. So again, sentence one is to state a general statement about the topic question. That is the first sentence. The second sentence would be the second sentence two now would be to paraphrase the question. Now, in your task one, I took our time to show you at least 3 ways you can paraphrase. Maybe for the sake of those of you that were not there, I may repeat it again when we are doing analysis. So you look at the entire question. This is the question, and then you paraphrase it. Paraphrase it means you restate it in a different way. You are not just going to copy it like this, the way they gave it to you, and put it there. No, you paraphrase it. And then the third sentence, sentence 3, is to state your opinion. In fact, the best way to say is to say what you will do. All right? They also call it thesis. So thesis is actually your stand. Now, the reason why I want to take our time to explain it very well is because of the question type. Now, for opinion based, what you will do, or your thesis may be you agree. So you're going to put it in a proper sentence that you agree. That's your stand, that's your thesis. It may be that you disagree, right? It may be that you somewhat agree. So you may have something like, this is why I strongly disagree to the aforementioned maybe view. All right, so this is a statement saying that, oh, you disagree. If you agree, you agree. If you disagree, you agree. So that is for opinion essay. Now, if it is for discussion essay, they already told you what to do. They ask you to discuss both views and give your opinion. So if the examiner says do something, will you say you are going to do another thing? No. So you now put it in a statement that actually mean that yes, you are going to discuss. I may say, oh, in this writing, for example, I shall provide detailed explanation, explanations to both views. So because to discuss is to provide sufficient explanation. So the thesis here, the third statement here, is a function or is principled upon the type of essay, and please don't mix it up. So these are the three major sentences that should make up the introduction. Remember, the introduction is one paragraph of between 1 to 5 sentences. Sentence 1 is a general statement about the topic of the question. Sentence 2 is to paraphrase the entire question. Sentence 3 is to say what you will do. So that is the introduction. So the second section of the essay is the body. The body is, this is where you provide, this is where you provide sufficient explanation, or what I would like to call evidence, to support your thesis or your stand, in the introduction. So the body is for defense. In the body section, you are trying to defend what you have said in the introduction. That's the thesis. What is the thesis? I agree. So in the body, you are going to defend I agree. What is the thesis in I disagree? In the introduction, you said you disagree. In the body, you are going to defend that you disagree. So the body is actually to provide sufficient information, you know. Now, the number of paragraphs depend on the number of points. If you have 2 points, that means you will have 2 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs, because a point will be inside 1 paragraph. So 2 point, 2 paragraphs, 3.3 paragraphs. I don't think you will have time for up to 3 points. So that is it. Now, how do you write the first body paragraph? So let's see how to write body paragraph 1. Let's take it one by one. The first thing you will do is to state your supporting point. If it is opinion, a supporting point, state not just your first supporting point, you state it. State the first view. If it's discussion essay, state the first view. If it's advantage, state the first advantage. If it's problem solving, state the problem. So whatever it is, you state the first one. Then number 2, you explain it. You develop it. Yes. That point you have stated here, explain it. Be careful when you are explaining not to go and be talking about something else. Explain it. Explain it. Then the third thing you will be doing, give an example or illustration. Try to make your example very practical, because it strengthens your score. And then the last one is to summarize it. Summarize it. You sum up the point. So the first thing, state your first point. This your first point, they call it subject sentence. Subject sentence. That's your first supporting point. As you stated, they call it subject sentence. Here they call it summary sentence. Summary sentence. So this is where you summarize everything you have said in this paragraph. This is a standard way of writing. So in your first body paragraph, you state your first supporting point, your first view. If it's discussion essay, they'll give you the two view. You state the first one. Whatever it is, state the first one. The second thing you do in that same paragraph, you explain it, you develop it, give an example illustration, then you summarize it. This is the first body paragraph. You repeat the above. So repeat the above for the second body paragraph. For the second body paragraph. So you repeat the above for the second paragraph. So what does it mean? That means when you come to the second body paragraph now, overall, okay, so when you come to the second body paragraph, you now state your second supporting point. That's the difference. Develop that second point. Give an example illustration. Summarize it. All right. So 2 body paragraphs is done. The last for the essay is the conclusion. The conclusion is where you wrap up the entire essay. There are a few things to consider here. Now, for the discussion essay, remember that they will tell you to discuss both views and give your opinion. So technically, you are doing three things, sorry. View 1, you will explain the view 1. View 2, and the third thing will now be your opinion. Now, you can decide to do your opinion in another body paragraph. In that case, you will have 3 body paragraphs. Then, or you can decide to wrap up in conclusion with your opinion. You can still state your opinion in the conclusion, especially for questions where your opinion may be that the first view and the second view need to be together for you to have a healthy, a healthy solution. For like this question where they are talking about a child learning good moral in school, or is it at home? In that kind of question now, you will agree with me that it is better that your opinion may be, for example, the school and the family is needed to have a healthy child, because there are some things the child will learn in school, there are others is the parent that will teach the child. So both are important. So your opinion may be that both are important. Your opinion can be entirely different thing, you get it now, but whatever it is, you can wrap it up in the conclusion. That's another thing about the conclusion. But again, in the conclusion, if the question is a kind of argumentative kind of a question, like you may have in opinion essay, you can agree, you can identify, what another person may be saying. What this means is, yes, you have your opinion, but you can think about another opinion that somebody may have. Maybe, for example, you agree, somebody may disagree. So in conclusion, you acknowledge the view, or what they call counter opinion. So you acknowledge the fact that, well, somebody might be thinking that this is this, or it could be this. But so once you identify it, the last thing is now you now say why it does not hold. You now emphasize why what you have been writing on is the one that is made valid. But generally, conclusion, you wrap up your entire essay. So how to write the conclusion? So how do you write the conclusion? All right. The first is, well, if it is discussion, all right. So State your opinion here if it is discussion essay. Your opinion doesn't have to be elaborate, just like I said in the case of the child upbringing. So you just go ahead and say, oh, in your opinion, or you strongly believe that there are several things the child will learn at home while others he will learn at school. So they have to be at a harmony between what the child is learning in school and learning at home. That's your opinion. It's not storytelling. The conclusion is not just one paragraph. It is the shortest paragraph. Here you have maximum of 3 sentences. We are not talking so much here. Then if it's opinion essay, you can acknowledge the counter view. You acknowledge the counter view, acknowledge the counter view, you know, and shut it down. Just shut it down. Say why it does not hold. And then that is it. Say any other thing you wish to say. And you just wrap it up. Wrap it up. All right. So this is the structure of the essay writing. The essay will have three structures or three compartments. The first is the introduction. This is where you convince the examiner that you understood what they have asked you to do. The body is where you defend your stand. The conclusion is where you wrap up everything you have said. And this is the information you need about the essay writing. In our next video, I am going to explain to you how to write a typical essay. So I'll take a question, analyze it for you. I think what I will do in the spirit of helping you strongly, I will analyze both the opinion question type and the discussion, and then maybe I may just do introduction for one of them. But once I analyze it, the remaining thing is just putting the pieces together. So that will be in the next class. That will be in the next video, where I'll take a sample question and analyze it and bring out all the major elements that you will need to write a very, very good essay.